Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. Today we are going to be talking about two of my favorite layer 1 blockchains going into this next cycle that I ultimately believe are going to follow the same cycles as what Ethereum and Solana have both done. Every bull run we always see a new set of layer 1s take off, outperform the rest of the market, and provide some of the biggest gains out of all of the cryptos in each cycle. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys two of my favorite picks, mapping out prior cycles of some of the better altcoins and why I believe that these are primed to explode so high over the next few months. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you find any value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. And without further ado, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are jumping into today's video, and if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I've been a big time believer in layer 1s, and I've also been talking extensively about not only SEI, but SUI as well. These are two of the better layer 1s that I think are going to outperform the majority of the market over this entire bull run, and the reason why I'm so bullish on these is because in the last cycle, I've had the opportunity of being early to a number of the very best performing layer 1 blockchains, and I've been early to them, realized a significant amount of upside potential, and then it was at that point of the cycle that I realized, man, had I have just been early and held the entirety of that bull run, I would have outperformed everything that I ever did trying to trade in and out of stuff. And so this cycle, I've been looking for the same similarities. I've been looking for cryptos that remind me exactly the same as the best performing altcoins of the last cycles. And I found you guys two that I believe are destined to see some of the biggest gains over our entire bull run. Now, coming over here and looking at SUI, the reason I first started talking about this one is because I figured it would lead first. It was kind of outperforming what we saw with the C ecosystem. It was still below resistance, whereas what we saw with SUI, it was already breaking out and retesting. And so I made my video talking about it when we first started breaking up, and I explained that this looks just like the Solana chart from the last cycle, and we were going to see a massive markup in price in the same way that we saw Solana and many of those other top layer 1s in the last cycle. If we come over here and actually take a peek at what Solana did in that last cycle, I'm sharing with you guys Solana, Terra Luna, and Phantom, because these were tokens I bought in early that followed a lot of these same similarities. Now the first one is obviously Solana, and the reason I've compared SUI and SEI to Solana is because this setup is exactly the same. That first little higher high and impulse, and then what happens next is our wave 3. And inside of this wave 3, we oftentimes see the most volume come in, a ton of new coins are going to be added and listed onto this market, and we're going to see a ton of new volume and liquidity as this thing ultimately grows. Now what we saw with Solana is this ultimately led for one final blow off top, and it went much higher in its price. And that's virtually the same with every one of these tokens that were some of the better performing ones. Now, I bought Solana in the last cycle at 60 cents, so all the way back down at the very bottom in the beginning of this cycle, and then I bought Terra Luna all the way down here at 32 cents, at basically the bottom of its first higher high. So I was watching both of these, and I was just really looking for what had small market caps on Binance. It wasn't like I was some expert that just knew Solana was the future. Same thing with Terra Luna. I just happened to see what was low market cap on Binance, knew that there was lots of volume there, so I bought them. And I was lucky because what we ended up seeing from all of those were massive breakouts. Every single one of these, Solana and Terra Luna, they made these massive breakouts to start their cycles. And this is what we're going to be looking at with both of these markets. We've already started to see SUI take off. It's making that big run into new all-time highs, and we should expect to see more of the same. But the difference is when we're looking at SEI, this thing is just lagging it a little bit. Notice when SUI first broke up, it made this little ABC correction. It retested the very low end of this trend line, breaking out of it as new support, and then that was where we saw the markup in price going into new all-time highs. What I find interesting is that SEI is at the exact same point where we just finished this little ABC correction after breaking the downtrending resistance. We're retesting that here, and I do believe that we're moments away from starting that next big breakout into new all-time highs. The difference is, if you guys notice here, when SUI got added to exchanges, it made this big sell-off, and then when it actually made a new high, it really didn't go that much higher above the point at which it was listed from exchanges. And so it did make a new all-time high, but if we come over here and look at SEI, this is where it was added, and this is where it peaked. And so what we notice here is that this thing generally will outperform what SUI does, but SUI will lead the rises. And that's what I told you guys early on was get positioned inside of Sui and then get positioned into thesis, which was the lead DEX on Sui, which that one pumped over 5x from where we're at today. So that was where we were first looking to get positioned in. But now that Sui's already ran, I'm not really thinking that anybody should go out and buy that. I think that the obvious catch-up play is going to be playing C, because this thing is going to follow it. They're both two very big outliers into this cycle, two really great layer ones that, in my opinion, are going to provide a lot of value because their functionality, if you've actually used any of these chains, swapped on them, traded on them, you'll know that both of these are really great chains. They're efficient. We don't have some of the same issues that lack in some of the other layer ones, maybe being Ethereum, maybe being, Solana. But looking at these, I really do believe that they're going to continue to lead over this entire bull run, because I've always stated it. Layer ones continue to lead because they're an entire ecosystem where new cryptos can build in, launch a new altcoin, and if there's constantly new liquidity entering this market, it's only going to cause the price of both of the native tokens to rise substantially. So that's what I'm looking at here. Looking at C, this thing's all the way back down here, virtually at the accumulation point, right? I mean, obviously you could have bought it early on over in here, but this thing is still really undervalued. And I do believe the biggest point of markup is just barely coming. We saw how big of a rise Sui just barely made, running all the way up into a new all-time high, retesting those range highs, and now it's continuing to even go further than that. Now, obviously, C has lagged over that period, but it's lagged to begin this cycle. When Sui was first breaking out, this thing was still below its resistance. So now that Sui is already sitting up here in a new all-time high, and this thing's just barely breaking out and retesting, I think that it's just going to continue to lag prematurely behind it. There's a lot of the same people buying and accumulating this, and that's what we see across the board on a lot of these cryptos. We've been waiting for altcoins. We've been waiting for Bitcoin to make its big move into new all-time highs, because we knew at that point that's where that rotation into the altcoins takes place. So the same thing happens in some of the layer ones. Layer ones are going to be correlated because a lot of the same liquidity is being bought and sold between them. You have a lot of the same investors that are invested into Sui. You have a lot of the same investors that are invested to C. It's just kind of the way that these cycles are going to accumulate, how money's going to trickle down over the course of Bitcoin, rotating back into the altcoins. Certain narratives are always going to outpace other ones. We've seen memes and we've seen AI really being the spotlight of this cycle, but I do believe that layer ones are always going to outperform, because if you look at every cycle, they always have up to this point. There's really nothing that's saying that they're not going to. And when I see the charts breaking out, throwing up really big reversal patterns, seeing almost the identical type of accumulations, and we know that we're all the way down here, C is a perfect low leverage long opportunity. You could take a 2, really a 1.5x to about a 3x leverage. That's all I would recommend anybody to do. But you could take a low leverage long, get into this thing, and if you're worried about the market cap, build a really strong position that you can hold over the course of the entire next year, because 2025 is going to be very bullish. A lot of good crypto optimism between Trump being elected, passing really good laws that are going to be crypto friendly for the first time. So we could expect to see the upside in this cycle is going to be almost limitless. So the best thing we can do, get positioned into the strong cryptos that have good fundamentals. You can't look further than Sui and C. Now, at this point, if you're feeling like you got priced out of Sui, which you kind of have, I would recommend going with C. It's the obvious bet, and there's an entire ecosystem of altcoins you can trade in there. Now, with that being said, guys, if you did find value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. If you want to see anything on buying, selling, trading, any of the ecosystem plays inside of Sui or C, I'm going to be investing into a number of these, posting signals. I already have posted a number of signals. We've made a ton of money off of the meme coins inside of the C network already. So if you guys want to be able to follow along with anything that I'm buying, selling, trading over this cycle, you got to join my Discord server. The way to do that is to sign up on my website, linked in the description of this video. With that being said, I love you. I appreciate you guys. I will catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.